Hi, welcome to You, Me and Mediumship. Tonight we're going to talk about a little subject called you. So a little subject, it's quite a big subject really, and I think it's important that during your development of mediumship or whatever light work you're involved in, it's always well worth just checking in on self. And here he goes again, talking about self. Unfortunately, it's a big part of what we do. I'm not talking about yourself, but looking at self. And obviously by doing that, you'll do nothing but enlighten your, some call it a gift, some call it a talent. It's called many things, but it will do nothing but help you improve that connection with spirit by just checking in with self every now and again and just looking at how, as you develop, how it changes maybe your outlook on life itself, even your own personality, the way you deal with things, the way you react with things. It's always worth now and again just checking in and just making sure that you are at peace, that you are aware of these changes that are taking place, and you're happy with them. And I'm sure you will be, because it's odd sitting with that energy, with spirit, with self, can sometimes cause some quite major changes within a personality, which it is bound to. And the reason that happens is because obviously the spiritual side of self is far, far more supreme than that of the mind of self, your personality, that programmed piece of equipment that sits in the top of your head there, working away as it does. Sometimes not always working correctly, which is unfortunately in this day and age, with all the pressures of life and the stress of life, it can, and it does, obviously throw a wobbly now and again, and it's only to be expected. And the only way we can kind of reduce things that upset us is by dealing with those in a spiritual way, if you like, in a soulful way. And the way we do that is simply by listening to self and acting upon what we feel is correct within us. Not what we've been taught, not what we've been reading, and hopefully not too often with pills and tablets and things. Sometimes just a bit of space to sit in that atmosphere of self and try and understand that really, really does help. And it's difficult to get that space because life is hectic. The majority of us work very, very hard. Not a lot of time to fit everything in that we'd like to fit in. So it's nice to be able just to step back from that on occasion and just spend some time for self. Now, you're all probably at various different stages of your development, your journey, and obviously by being at different stages, you have different levels of awareness, and you are either doing very well at learning all about who you are, or you're just at the beginning of that, and maybe you are discovering a few surprises and dealing with those. But at the end of the day, we must also remember we are human beings. And if we had no reason for being here, if we had no mountains to climb, and we were pure in a sense, then obviously we wouldn't be here at all. So the first thing to think about sometimes is, well, obviously I've got things to learn because I'm here. End of story, really. And it's important that we deal with these issues, these things that are sent to try us, and deal with them and learn from them, which is obviously the most important aspect of that, is to learn from these things that are sent to try us. So wherever you're at on that journey, just keep going, find that time, have that space, and enjoy your journey. Things always and always will improve as you learn about self, because you will learn the spiritual way of dealing and reacting to certain circumstances. And you won't always get that right. Hence the reason you're here. So over time, things improve for you and self becomes more enlightened. Your spiritual work will become more enhanced, and you will understand things through a fresh set of eyes, I guess. And in a way, through fresh thought, because you're not thinking along the lines of how you've been told to react. You're not working along the lines how someone else perceives something. You are truly perceiving something through who you are and your understanding of it, not someone else's. So it's very important, this self journey. So you could be at a number of stages, I guess, within your development. You may well be quite happy with the way things are going, enjoy your sitting for spirit, for self, learning lots from it. You may be very frustrated and not really feel like you're getting anywhere. So you could be at vastly different stages of development, or you people out there that are watching this. But what's important here is that you build your foundation. And it's like erecting a new house or a shed or what have you. That foundation needs to be solid, and of course it needs to be level, because the more solid and the more level that foundation is, then obviously the longer lasting your building will be, the more enjoyable it will be. So it's important that that foundation is correct. And it's difficult. It's not an easy journey. And you are human. So you will make mistakes, things will go wrong, and you need to allow for that and understand its purpose, why that is there, why that mistake happened, and how to deal with it, to make sure that you learn from it. It is a very, very steep learning curve, this spiritual journey of yours. And for many, it happens quite quickly sometimes. And it is a constant learning curve. You will, for the rest of your lives and beyond that, be learning. That is the whole purpose of this very existence of self. It has been learning for infinity, if you like. It is an infinite learning curve. So, wherever you're at, in a good place, or maybe not a good place, just keep working away at it, and you will get there. You will find that key to that door that I've mentioned on a number of occasions. And as I've said before, and somebody brought up the other night, which reminded me of something that I said, it's important that you reach that locked door and then search the key, search for that key. You have two choices. You can find a doorway that's open and take the easy route. And that route for myself, the way I perceive it, the way I describe it, is the perception of others. So in other words, you walk the path of others. You shadow other people's ideas, other people's perceptions. That's the easy route. And what you learn from that will be very little. But if you search for that locked door, knowing that what is beyond that, that path beyond that has never been walked before. And that is your path, your journey. It's kind of like a fresh start, if you like. Because once you find that key and you walk through that door, then all perception, all experience will be unique to you. And it will be truth. Because upon that path, upon that journey that you take beyond that locked door, has not been interfered with, has not been twisted or changed to benefit anyone else apart from self. So take time in searching for that key. Sit for self, sit for spirit. Let spirit guide you. Let spirit take you upon that journey. And if you allow that to happen by sitting in that silence, you will learn an awful lot. So wherever you are at, check in with self. Make sure that you are on that unique path. And like I've said a million times before, you can be guided to that door. But finding that key is entirely down to you. Your dedication, your open heart, your intent. Unless, of course, you're quite happy, which many are, to walk through the open door and take the journey of someone else. And that simply means that on your spiritual journey, you will read, you will study, you will listen, you will sit with, you will be totally guided by someone else's perception, someone else's idea of how something works. And by doing so, the only soul that you are benefiting is that of someone else. You are as spiritual as any other living entity upon this realm. No matter how deep it may be buried, no matter how much experience of that spiritual side of self you've had, that level of life force within you is no different. You have existed as a spiritual being, as an entity, if you like, as a soul, as a spirit, for the same amount of time as any other energy within this realm and just about any other realm in reality, because you have existed since eternity. The number of journeys you have taken within different aspects of that pathway, of that particular life experience, or this particular one, or any other one. For example, experience upon this realm, you may have more or less than another entity, another spirit, another energy. You may have had a lot more than some of the other souls that walk with you. You may have had a lot less. But you have existed for exactly the same amount of non-existent time, if that makes sense. The only difference being the experiences that you have experienced may well be within different areas, if you like, different parts of universal existence. Earth being one of those parts. This planet, this existence, if you like, this place, this realm. Sounds like I'm going on a bit, doesn't it? But I hope you understand that. You are, well, can be classed as an old soul here, but in reality, you have existed for exactly the same amount of time as any other living energy, any other life source, if you like. But you may well have experienced many more lifetimes within this realm than another. And they may well have experienced an existence within another realm many more times than you have. It's all down to purpose. It's all down to what you need, what your desires are, and what you need to experience in order to grow spiritually. And of course, how you learn from them. Just experiencing a particular thing is not the key to progression. It's how you learn from that experience that is the key, in order to take on the next step of that journey. So you can have the most wonderful lifetime and experience very little and learn very little. And of course, as human beings, we see that must be wonderful. It must be wonderful to have that wonderful life and not want for anything, not need anything. Everything comes so easily. But that within itself is an experience. And that in itself is something you can learn from. Because by having all that you have can sometimes open your eyes in realization of how hard and how difficult it must be without all those things that you have. The normality in that is that we would realize that. But unfortunately, the way the world is, doesn't matter how much you have, you still want more. So, wherever you're at, learn from experience. Be patient and allow. And just be. You've heard those words a million times. But it's important that you do just be in that moment, because in reality that is all that exists, is the moment you are in now. So don't wrap yourselves up in too much of the past, because you have to think, as far as the past is concerned, many of the things you experienced have been placed upon you from others and their perception of how you should be. So don't allow the past to interfere too much in your now. I know that's easy said. But if you just be in the moment and be joyful and be that shining light in this moment, then you will darken the past. And it won't come to the forefront of you, of who you are, because you will simply drown it and disperse it. Again, easy said, I know. With the future, we simply do not know. But again, by living in the light of now, we can allow that light to guide us onto the next step of our journey. We don't have to worry too much about what that next step is, because we simply do not know. But we can try and shape that future simply by being a light in the moment of now. So, a lot of waffle, I guess, but those that know me, those that work with me, those that I teach, if you like, those that I guide, kind of understand that's how it is. Because for me, spirituality is so simple. And I don't mean that in an arrogant way. What I mean is I believe that sometimes it is deliberately made complex and complicated. And I believe sometimes that is done deliberately for the benefit of others. So, you are good enough. No matter who you are no different than anyone else in the sense of spirituality. You may well be a very religious person and believe in one of the many religions there are. But that is so simple. Any religion that believes in the harm of another in any way, shape or form is not truth. So, obviously you make your choice. I respect every religion, but my choice through my door is I will experience that for myself on my pathway, on my journey, and I will learn from spirit what the truth is. Not from a book, not from someone preaching it. My understanding is that religion is very much a man-made thing. It has its good sides and it has its bad sides. But what's important is that it sits within your truth. It sits right with you, and you have experienced that truth the other side of your doorway. Because that is your unique journey that you have made and you have learned from. And working with that energy, that is the other side of your doorway. You haven't been controlled by the perception of someone else. So, hopefully not going too deep, I just find it's important, and I can see the confusion sometimes in the students I work with, because obviously many of them have had a lifetime of different teachers, different tutors, and they feel they have not progressed. And if they have, it's been the smallest of steps, probably 2 or 3 steps forward and then a couple of steps back, and it's just been a life of frustration. And they really still do not understand the element of self and who they are. The number of times I hear that, I do not know who I am. And it's simply because you've taken the open door. So, in a nutshell, forget all that perception as best you can. And by simply sitting for self and allowing yourself that space to sit with spirit, to sit with the spirit of self, understanding that element of life source within who you are, within self, that will guide you to your own door of learning, if you like, and it will be locked. But once you grasp the truth of that life force within you, your uniqueness, that light that shines within you, and I'm not talking about a light that shines out the top of your head or from your chest, I'm talking about that open heart, that loving intent, that soul. Once you have that within your grasp, you will find that key and that door will open. And you are very much, once you take that first step beyond the threshold of that door, there you will find your classroom, your spiritual classroom. Life's purpose and the spiritual classroom are two very, very different places. They walk hand in hand. Your life's purpose, your life's classroom is the place, or life is where you experience and you overcome and you learn from that. Your spiritual classroom is where you learn to infiltrate that life's experience with spirituality. So the decisions you make, the assumptions you make, the lessons you learn have that injection, if you like, of spirituality within the decisions you make within that life's classroom. The two walk hand in hand. For many, life's experience and the decisions that you make, and for many people, it is simply a mind decision. where in reality it should be a mind and soul decision. So by having that space and that time, the experience of self, the other side of that doorway, will influence the decisions you make in everyday life, because it will be a balanced decision of mind and soul. You cannot make a decision based on someone else's mind and your soul. Because you will be walking blind. You will not be making decisions for you. Hence, this crazy world. Decisions based all on mind. Whereas there should be decisions made within that balance of mind and soul. And as a light worker, there's a medium, there's a healer, whichever part you wish to make a difference in other words, inject your truth into and work with, whichever part of that you wish to take, or whichever pathway you wish to take with your light work, there has to be a mind and soul balance. Why? I hear you ask. If you've stuck it this long listening to this, the reason for that is because your own personal experience, your own truth, that energy within you, that light within you, is your tool of communication, is your tool of healing. It is that life force within you that helps and merges with the force of spirit, that spiritual energy that is around you, not the mind. You've heard me say that a few times just recently. Spirit will use the element of truth within you, that element of life source within you, that energy within you, that light within you. That is what spirit merge with and work with in order for you to give those messages, in order for you to give that healing. It is that part of self they work with, not the mind you take to work every day, not the mind that decides what you're going to have for dinner or what you need from the shop or whatever else you do in your everyday lives. That there's no interest in that at all. That is just, well, mind has its own functions. You've heard me talk about that in the past. Its function of protection. You're fed, you're kept warm, you're safe. You live as long as you can live. That's where body comes in as well, obviously. I don't talk an awful lot about mind, body and soul. Obviously all three work together, the body being the temple, the body being where that soul is housed, how it expresses itself through the body, obviously through speech, through your senses. So obviously that is important. But just for this talk, we are talking about the balance of mind and soul. So to work with that soul, to understand that soul, that life force within you, walk through your own door, not someone else's. Do not shadow another soul. It's important with mediumship as well. Do not ever think, I want to be like them. I want to work like that medium works. That'll be the biggest mistake you will ever make. You will do nothing by following another person's method of work, because you cannot express that truth within you in the way someone else does. And it's the same with mediumship. You cannot work upon or do a demonstration within a church or whatever, one-to-one. If you try and act and mimic the way another medium works, and you see it all the time, you will not be working truthfully, because you're not working with who you are. You're not working with self. You're not working with your own light, your own energy, that energy that spirit are merging with to pass that message on. You are working mindfully in the sense that you are mimicking someone else. So it's important you work in your way. And if you are truthful and if you are honest with self, then your work will give off that truthfulness in the messages that you give. They'll be more accurate, because spirit know you. They know who you really are. They know how you work, how you tick, what makes you tick. They understand how you perceive things within life and how you have experienced them and how they made you feel. And by using those elements of who you are, those elements of self, it will remind you of different aspects of your own journey. And they will use them to communicate, so you know how a mother feels to you. You will know how a father feels to you. You will know how a grandfather, how your pet, how a particular circumstance, how it affected you, and you will feel that, and you will know exactly what it is that they are trying to tell you. So please don't mimic another medium or the way someone else works. Just work purely from self, and do that by finding that key to your door. I hope that helps. I've been going off track a little bit, but that is the importance of this foundation that I try and build with you in my lessons. It's important that over the first few weeks when we meet, that we do an awful lot of delving into how you work. Not what you've read in a book, not what courses you've been on, none of that. We look at who you are, how you fit into this role, if you like. Not the you that went to school and goes to work every day, but the you self, the light, the real you. How that part of you will work with spirit. So please like, please subscribe. You've heard all that before. Pop over to Patreon. I will put a link into the description if you're interested in any guidance work with me. And I'll speak to you all again very soon. I will answer your comments. I do get an awful lot, but sometimes they might sit there for a little while. But I will get to them all, and I will answer them all. So take care. Have a lovely evening. Have a lovely rest of your life if you never come back again and watch. But take care. Bye for now.